Hello everybody and welcome to the race notebook for the 2022 Hungarian Grand Prix, the 2022 Magyar Nagydíj. See, I got it. And it's a race. It's a race now that Parc Fermé has been released, and all the mechanics who up until this point have been sitting up on the pit wall waiting to get their cars back to the garage so they can pack them away, clean them up, de-rig them, pack them away and take them back to the factory. They've all been released. So the most expensive car park in the world, or maybe just in Hungary, I'm not quite sure, depending on where you live, has now been released, and we can see the scrapes, the scraps, the damages. Oh, hello, we've been... Thanks, lads. No worries. It's all right, you didn't know our camera was in the way, don't worry. We're not going through, don't worry. Oh, now you're right. You're right, T-Bass. You okay? You had a bit too much goulash. Right. Now the cars have been removed. All the fans have been removed from the stands and sent home. Actually, I must say, on yesterday's notebook, I said the organisation was good around here. That was before I witnessed the 3-hour taxi queue. It did remind me, if you do come to this Grand Prix, and Budapest has been a very popular race to come to, especially now it's in the kids' summer holidays, organise yourself a car if you're getting home from the circuit after qualifying or after the race, because the 3-hour taxi queues are 3-hour taxi queues. And we've also heard some pretty bad tales of some heavy-handed security from the fans' experience. You know, we like to talk about fans' experience at Grand Prix around the world on the notebook. I've heard some pretty horrendous stories about fan experience with the local security here. So hopefully the Hungaroring authorities will listen to them. And if you have had a bad experience as a fan here, and you're watching this when you online or when you get back to the UK or wherever you are, just please do report it to Formula One. You can find all their contact details online, and to the FIA if you want to as well. But yeah, with the FIA and Formula One are committed, believe you me, so they say, to a positive fan experience for everybody. And if you haven't had that, for heaven's sake, tell Formula One. Okay, because they do want to know, and I believe them on that. I don't think they'll just brush it under the carpet for whatever it was. But today was all about the tyres, wasn't it? And I know I hate tyre chat, don't you? But in brief, they worked, they didn't. And anyone who tried those ones with the white stripe had a bit of a terrible time. Kev Magnussen, 2 Alpines, even though they made it to 1 stop, they weren't particularly quick. And of course the Ferrari of Charles Leclerc, not Carlos Sainz. So yeah, it was a bit of a tyre Grand Prix, which is, but it seemed saw lots of overtaking, but it saw a guy come from 10th on the grid, all right, with the fastest car, and that was only because they had a problem in qualifying with Max Verstappen and Red Bull, up to win the Grand Prix quite comfortably in the end. So that was what happened. Lots going on in the paddock. By the way, did you like the acrobatic dancers dancing to the tune of the F1 theme on the grid? It was brilliant, and if the reserve drivers don't pick that one up, then they're missing a trick. I'm sure they will. So there was do 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 do, and then these very, very buff dancers were in the guys were all in with these sort of tight leotards, and they were doing dancing to the theme of the F1 theme, which I thought was very, very, very amusing. I don't think we showed it on our coverage because we were busy talking about exhausts or clutches or something like that. So anyway, right here we see the paddock sort of de-rigging, and the swimming pool will probably be drained at some point, and everything will be packed away. The deck chairs, they've all had a nice time. There's Alex Albon. Oh, is Lily there? Oh, it's Lily. Hi, Lily. I've never met Lily. Oh, super cute. I love Lily. I've never met her before. Hi, Lily. Oh, she just went away. Lily Hay, of course, the PGA golfer, LPGA golfer, who's Alex Albon's better half. So I've never met Lily before. Oh, it's a missed opportunity. Yeah, so everyone's packing up and going on their summer holidays. We will reconvene, well, I won't, but I'll get that later, at the Belgian Grand Prix at the end of August. Let's talk about Ferrari, Mercedes, shall we? Because they're, well, the first motorhome that we come to. And a double podium, another double podium. And George Russell, from being on pole position, has ended up 3rd today after a sort of spirited fight towards the end. I thought Lewis Hamilton overtook him quite easily towards the end with the tyre offset. Take that, young man, I've written in my notebook. But yeah, George saw off the Sainz challenge at the start, held the lead, pitted on lap 17. It was a bit of a slow stop, 4-second stop, not quite up to Mercedes standards. But because Sainz had a bad pit stop as well, Sainz couldn't get past Russell. So at that point, it was looking like Russell and Sainz would be on for a race-long fight, and then they'd be sort of going with Leclerc charging with a quick car, as it seemed at the time, up towards that fight. But in the end, well, eventually it came back. Once Charles had put the medium tyre, he came back very quickly at George Russell and passed him. So he defended and then struggled to get the tyres. In fact, I'm going to have to put my lookers on here because I can't read my writing. Oh, you're right, son. Good. Right. Couldn't get past. Sainz had a bad stop, couldn't get past Russell, but came back at Leclerc when Ferrari was on the hard tyres. George defended from Lewis Hamilton, but struggled with his tyres on the last stint. Great start from Lewis Hamilton, up 2 places to P5, went long in the second stint, pitted onto the soft tyre and then into P5 behind Sainz. Then Lewis was on the soft tyre, pretty relentless, got Sainz and then up to P3 and then got George Russell into P2. So that's how Lewis ended up P2 and Russell ended up P3. But I guess are they satisfied with that? I think so. I think to have 2 Mercedes on the podium for 2 consecutive races in a week is pretty good, and you can say Peter Bonington looks happy as he goes probably towards to your right is the guy in the purple shirt. It's all right, never mind, doesn't matter. T-Bus. Right, Red Bull, let's move on. And from P10, even with a spin down to with a 360-degree spin down to the win is great stuff for Max Verstappen. Quality drive, drive of a champion, you might say. He made his way through fairly quickly at the start from P10. Then he was behind the Ferraris, undercut them, which earned him the lead. And then he spun at the last corner, down to P4 from the lead. But then he made it back and stayed on the 2-stop. Went with a help by a new PU. And by the way, that is PU number 3. So inevitably, not only will Max Verstappen now not be able to have PU3 for the power circuits, this is not a power circuit, of Spa and Monza, but inevitably he's probably going to run out of power units, just as the Ferraris have run out of power units towards the end of the season. But I think everybody's going to end up taking at least 1 extra power unit beyond the 3 that you're allowed, and with it the associated grid penalties. But we've seen people recover from that, and it will probably make its way, even itself out in the end. This chap walking towards us is Nick Tilmbassis, so there'll be a lot of interest in the technical directive at Spa, which is the next race, which is his doing, as he firms up on the flexi floors. And wasn't that interesting that George Russell, the first person, certainly from Mercedes, and the first person that I've heard pretty much from all the teams, and this includes Ferrari and Red Bull, to come out and say, naming Ferrari and Red Bull as the teams who were allegedly running flexible floors in a way that they interpreted the rules on how much your floor was allowed to flex under whatever G loading it was, and George naming Ferrari and Red Bull as having a different interpretation into the rules. They're all legal. I've said this before in the notebook, I'll say it again. They're having a different interpretation that has now been corrected and rectified by technical directive at the next Grand Prix in Spa. So Red Bull say, hey, look, it's fine, we'll turn up in Spa with a new, stronger floor if that's what the rules say, and they see it as a mid-season rule change, but all right, fine, we'll do that. It's not going to affect us. Mattia Binotto told us a couple of races ago that they're going to have to change their floor for Spa, and it's not going to affect them anyway either. So, well, we will see, won't we? We will see. But yeah, George Russell the first to actually say that. As for Checo Perez, sorry, did I do Max Verstappen? Yeah, I did. Made it back after the spin, and with the PU, got one very comfortably. Red Bull Porsche. Is it Porsche or Porsche? I think it depends on whether you're saying it in a German accent. It's like calling it Michael Schumacher. You can say things in a German accent and then pronounce them Porsche, which is how the Germans say it, or you could say it Porsche, which is the sort of anglicisation of it. Anyway, the reason I'm saying Porsche and Porsche so much is that we believe, careful, you're about to deck Christian Horner from behind, is that we believe that they're going to announce in the next few days that they are properly teaming up. So typical Formula One teams these days, they wait until everybody's actually on holiday, so they can't do any questions about it. But August the 4th was a date that I heard where they're going to announce that Porsche or whatever you want to call them have bought into the Red Bull Racing team. So that is the rumour going around. If it's not August, then it'll be some other time soon, but it seems to be happening. Sergio Perez, not a great day for him. P5. Struggled, lost out on the virtual safety car and struggled for pace. But in the end, from one place behind Max Verstappen, P11 on the grid, made it through to P5. Ferrari, let's do them, shall we? And of course, lots of the Italian media will be looking at how and why they could make such terrible mistakes on strategy. In the end, Mattia Binotto says they didn't have the fastest car. I don't know if that holds water. It was certainly a fast car, but maybe it wasn't the fastest car. Clearly, the Red Bull was the fastest car today, but they still had a pretty fast car, and to give away the 2 podium spots to Mercedes was pretty baffling today. But the way they did it, Sainz and Leclerc ran 2 and 3. Then in the pit stops, Leclerc stopped afterwards and overtook Sainz. Then they closed up on Russell very quickly and took the lead on lap 31. Then I think the problem was that Leclerc and Sainz, well, the strategists at Ferrari reacted to the Max Verstappen undercut with the hard tyre rather than just going longer on the medium and then going soft on the end, which is what the Mercedes did. So they dropped down with a 3-stop to Leclerc, who finished 6th in the end and really hurt his championship, and Sainz 2-stopped with a soft tyre and then a medium and a medium. So Sainz got 4th in the end, but potentially what Leclerc could have done or should have done was a medium, soft, medium, a 3-stopper, or at least a medium, soft, which is the opposite of what Verstappen did, which was a soft, medium. See, I told you it was a lot of tyre chat and it was all slightly confusing. In any case, all you need to know was that clearly Ferrari, it did not go well for them today, and they've taken yet another hit in the World Championship, a World Championship that might have already be gone for them. But on a day when Max Verstappen started 10th, it's a nice little ship. Should we try and push him in his box in the box like that, or is it just easier for him to get it done from the inside? Can I tow you on from there a little bit, like I would my kids, or not? Okay. Well, yeah. It's a good soapbox. Put some wheels on that. That'll be good. Right. Let's do McLaren. Then we'll take a break. And Landy Norris P7, Daniel Ricciardo P15. Unhappy face. Landy held on gamely on the soft tyres before the tyres went off, and he got passed by Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen. The tyres had gone really. Pitted on lap 15 onto the medium tyre. Bit of a slow stop. Daniel Ricciardo pitted on lap 16 from P9. A better stop from him, but it went backwards after that, unfortunately, for Daniel Ricciardo. Lando also went onto the hard, but could get it going. Ricciardo got a 5-second stop for tipping Lance Stroll into a bit of a spin. There is Lance Stroll. Bad luck, Lance. Yeah, and I have a good break for you too as well, mate. And Lawrence, I hope they're going somewhere nice. And Lance just missed the points today. Lance was tipped into a spin from Ricciardo, for which Ricciardo got a 5-second penalty. And because of that and some not great pace, Ricciardo finished down in 15th. Oi. But Lando P7, and Lando providing McLaren with confirmation that the upgrade package that they had in France is actually delivering for them. Right, we'll take a break as the rain starts to fall. More Notebook in a bit. Hiya, welcome back to the Race Notebook for the 2022 Hungarian Grand Prix. One last year, or the 2021 Hungarian Grand Prix, which was won last year by that man who's having a selfie taken with some fans. So not won today by Esteban Ocon in any kind of way, because he was 9th. And early on, it seems like he was a little bit, he incurred the wrath of Fernando Alonso, which is something you never want to do, because he pushed him towards the pit wall, and in a very sort of firm defending manoeuvre at the start, which prompted Fernando to have a game of never did I ever. And he was saying, never did I ever get pushed into a move where I got pushed into the pit wall by my teammate at the start. But Fernando and Esteban compromised each other, actually, with Fernando trying to take Ocon, but Ocon closing him out, and that let Lewis Hamilton through, and that meant that they didn't challenge Lando Norris all day long, unfortunately, for Alpine. Fernando pitted first and then battled Ocon again, got past. They both pitted onto the hard tyre and ran 11th and 12th, and they stayed there, 22 seconds behind Lando Norris. So Alpine, with supposedly a quicker car than McLaren, were absolutely beaten fair and square by... take someone's legs off, mate. Were beaten by 22 seconds to Lando Norris, but 2 seconds ahead of Ocon. So Alonso 8, 2 seconds ahead of Esteban Ocon 9th, and not a great day. A couple of points, so can't say that McLaren didn't score points with both cars, whereas Alpine did. But in any way, not there behind McLaren, which is what they didn't want to do. Right, Aston Martin, and we'll just do Aston Martin when they're here, even though I know AlphaTauri are next. But Sebastian Vettel 10th and scored a point on the weekend where he announced that he's not going to be around in Formula 1 next year. So that's good for Seb, still going out with some gas in the tank, if you like. Good pace and tyre choice had Lance Stroll P9 and Sebastian Vettel P11. Then Vettel was got past them. They pitted together at the same time. They stacked the cars, which was kind of last goodbye from Bernadette Collins. Bernie Collins is the strategist, who this is her last Grand Prix, and his a team briefing being given by Mike Crack, the team principal, a media briefing rather. So you can just see. I don't know if you can see through the glass there, but yeah, and. They pitted together at the same time and stacked them because Bernie Collins thought it was a good thing to do, not because it was her last race, but because she thought it was a good thing to do, and it was. And it was P11 and P12. Lance got past Valtteri Bottas, but the soft tyre was starting to go off, and so they arranged it so that Sebastian Vettel could go past, and he was into P10 and only finished 0.1 of a second behind Esteban Ocon. Arg, I put down here. If only Seb could have found a tenth of a second from somewhere earlier on in the race, he might have been able to get past Esteban Ocon for P9, but in the end it was P10, and they couldn't swap the positions back after Lance had given him the place because it was all too tight, if you see what I mean. Yeah, well done. At least they got a point. Let's do AlphaTauri, because their truck is down there, but even though their motorhome is gone, their truck is down there. It's the white one with blue in it. And Gasly, P12 from the pit lane. Yuki Tsunoda, P19. Very poor from the Yuki Tsunoda today. Gasly from the pit lane, very good. Ran soft, medium, and then soft. That worked his way up and finished 12 seconds behind Lance Stroll. A good recovery for Pierre Gasly. Yuki had various troubles. The track limits, warnings, then he spun and recovered on lap 35. Finished 1 minute behind Nicholas Latifi in a Williams. What? Not good enough, Yuki. What on earth is going on? Gasly had changed other bits apart from the power unit in Parc Ferme, so that's why he had to start from the pit lane rather than the back of the grid. But the upgrades that they do have on this car need to be proven, and Yuki is not doing himself or the team any favours by finishing a minute behind a Williams and 19th and last of all the runners. We've done Aston Martin, so Williams, not much of a better day for them, really, unfortunately. And 17th for Alex Albon, Nicholas Latifi 18th. Both had front wing damage on the start, after the first lap, after contact with various cars. Alex Albon came together with Lance Stroll and broke his front wing and had to pit. Then we're going to lose so much time in this fight with Sebastian Vettel, said Alex Albon, and he pitted after that, rejoined last, 3 stopped and finished 17th, whereas Nicholas Latifi, with his wing damage, said the car is all over the place, this is a disaster, I don't know what to say, to which his engineers just said, okay. He pitted on lap 19, did Latifi, passed Magnussen for P18, but then pitted again for a third time and dropped down to P18. So 17th for Alex Albon, no wonder he didn't want to stop and say hello, and 18th for Nicholas Latifi on a pretty dreadful day for Williams. Alfa Romeo Sauber, and they had the only retirement of the race. It wasn't Zhou Guanyu who's standing outside here, it was Valtteri Bottas. Terrible start from Valtteri Bottas, down to P13 from P8, went long to lap 27, went onto the hard tyres, made up places okay, but then stopped on lap 68 due to a fuel system failure, whereas Zhou Guanyu also had a bad start, down to P17, pitted on lap 28. It's all right, the noise of that generator is drowning out the fact I'm talking about him, not exactly behind his back, but right next to him, so it's not awkward at all. Pitted on lap 28 and then again on lap 53, finished in front of Mick Schumacher, but behind Pierre Gasly, and he is under investigation with Mick Schumacher, or one of them is under investigation for leaving the track and gaining an advantage on the last lap. And I don't know if we have have we heard, Joe, about the Mick investigation? with the stewards? We haven't heard that.
I mean, yeah.
What happened?
I got pushed wide in last lap in the second last corner. And then basically he was ahead for the last corner, and I regained the position that corner, so I think she'll be all okay. So
Good. Glad to hear it. Okay. And have a good summer. Thank you, Zhou Guanyu. Finished 13th today, so it was under investigation, but it sounds like it's going to be okay. And we can wrap up with Kevin Magnussen, P16, and Mick Schumacher, P14. Great start for both. Kevin Magnussen up to P10, Mick Schumacher, P12, but the Kevin Magnussen broke his front wing and had to pit onto the hard tyre. Was not quick after that. Mick also went onto the hard tyre, but recovered and finished, as I said, 0.2 of a second behind Zhou Guanyu with that incident that we just that Zhou just told us about. So that was under investigation for leaving the track and gaining an advantage. Zhou said he thought he would be okay. Maybe Mick thinks because he's only finished 0.2 of a second behind Zhou Guanyu, then he should get that place, but at the moment it's not. It's K-Mag 16th and Mick 14th. Right, I think that is about it. I'll just check I've done everyone, done AlphaTauri, done Aston Martin, done Williams, done everything else. Yes, so next is we'll say goodbye to Budapest. Thanks for having us, despite all those issues I talked about earlier. And next for us is the Belgian Grand Prix on the weekend of the 26th, 27th and 28th of August. There won't be a notebook. I'm not there. I'm going on a training camp at Bristol Rovers. That's Bristol Rovers with Simon. So neither of us are there, but the excellent Sky F1 team will be there on the 26th, 27th and 28th of August. Remember that it's Any Driven Monday tomorrow, 6 p.m. on YouTube with Matt Baker and Naomi Schiff and the notebook, and I will return at the Dutch Grand Prix on the 2nd, 3rd and 4th of September. Is it 2nd, 3rd and 4th? In September. Right, but we'll say thank you very much for watching. Have a great summer break, and, well, I'll see you in about 4 weeks, but everyone else will see you in about 3 weeks. Bye-bye.